So you made the announcement. Everybody now in the world knows that you're going to be driving Top Fuel next year. What are the emotions now that it is officially out there that you're going to be doing this next year?
Well, glad to get the announcement over because it's been a work in progress, and there were a lot of variables in the equation that we had to address, and you know, with different OEMs and literally not having much experience driving a Top Fuel car, there's just a lot of stuff going on, and talking to partners and trying to figure out timing of all this. It was never a part of a master plan to end up where I'm going to be next year, but when your wife says she's ready to start a family and wants to take time off to do that, then you're thrown into a situation where you got to come up with a solution. So this was a lengthy process. It wasn't an emotional decision by anybody. We literally through the discussions with Neil through the year, we were very calculated about everything till the end of the season. And at the beginning of the year, I didn't have my name in that hat. She asked, and I absolutely refused to be in it. So we were working through the process of who to hire, and then later in the fall she asked again, and I said, yeah, I think I'd be all right with that. But I still thought there would be somebody that would be on the list that we would end up with. But I feel like this is a scenario where they have a little more confidence in me than I have in myself at this point.
Yeah, because you talked about, I remember back 6 months ago, you went on Dale Jr. Download, and you were pretty adamant that while you would never say no, you were pretty okay not getting in behind the wheel of one of these things again. Through those 6 months, what was the decision to kind of, I would say, advise you to maybe be more comfortable doing this rather than saying go out and hiring, say, Cody Crone or Julie Natas or somebody else throughout the Top Fuel ranks that's still looking for that Top Fuel ride? What was it that got you to say, okay, yeah, let's do this?
Well, I think when we actually, for the first time, wrote it out on paper, I've made 20 runs in a Top Fuel car. Those guys haven't. To go through the season and to see the variables in the equation. And these were things that Leah and Neil pointed out that were important to those guys, as far as when we had to pedal the car, or we had a couple instances where things went wrong, and we did a good job of saving the car, and I didn't think anything about it. I just do what I do. And those guys saw some things in there that they really liked about what I was doing in the alcohol car, and they're way smarter about drag racing than I'm ever going to be. So it's hard for me to sit there and go, yes, I feel like I'm ready to do this. I don't know how you're ever ready to drive a Top Fuel car or funny car. It's the craziest thing I've ever done in motorsports in my life. So we're going to get thrown in head first, and it's going to be a long process to get up to speed and get comfortable. But having your wife as your coach, Matt Hagan's a great driver coach, having a team that we've worked with for 2 years that I know these guys in and out, they're like family to us, to have their support, and everybody knows that this is going to be a work in progress. So, they're all patient, and they're all excited. They're excited for us as a family first. They're ready. They don't want their driver to be out any longer than they have to, and I don't want her to be out any longer than I have to. At the end of this, I'm happy going back to alcohol. It doesn't matter what I do, but, I think it shows how strong a person Lee is when you have your best career finish in the series, knowing that you're making that decision to walk away. And honestly, for her to sit there after she had that finish and go to the banquet the next day, I fully expected her to say she wanted to push it back a year, and she never did.
And you talked about Matt Hagan. I know that over the past year, Matt and both Ron, back since the award ceremony last year, were kind of nipping in your ear, trying to get you to jump into a funny car. Were they disappointed at all hearing that you actually are going to be a dragster rather than doing what they felt you were born to do, and that being a flopper driver?
No, they absolutely were 100% supportive, which I thought they were going to give me the business when we told them yesterday, but they were all excited for Lee and I, like I said, first as a family. And that shows what our team's about. It's about that family atmosphere.
And then what I also want to ask about is, over the past year, you've been very head-on into this, probably more so than any other sport you've been in, jumping in from a driver, then as a team owner, and now a promoter. What is it about drag racing that makes you feel that this is where you need to be compared to where you've been at doing dirt, SRX, and NASCAR, and everything in between?
Well, I retired from NASCAR. I'm too fat and too old to be in an Indy car. Sprint cars, I mean, the pace these kids can run now, I mean, it's a faster pace than I want to run in a sprint car. This was never, the NHRA side was never part of a master plan. It just literally evolved. And you know, when I met Leah, I became a huge fan of NHRA. And, you know, then I went to Frank Hawley's drag racing school because I wanted to understand, listening to her talk about a run, I wanted to try to understand some of those variables. So, like I said, it was never part of a process, but it has been steps that have led us to this moment.
All right, appreciate it, man. Good luck next year. We'll see you down there in Gainesville.